This is Nordic Climate Talks, a podcast by Nordic Development Fund. This episode is brought to you in collaboration with EEP Africa, a clean energy financing facility supporting early-stage companies across 17 countries in Southern and Eastern Africa. I'm your host, Kelly Keodara, and today we are spotlighting climate change and inclusive workplaces in Africa's clean energy sector. We are joined by two exceptional women. Joining from Zimbabwe, we have Chiedza Mazaiwana, Portfolio Manager at EEP Africa, who will give an overview on climate change in Africa, specifically in the clean energy sector. Then we'll hear from Rethabile Mafura, Country Manager for African Clean Energy in Lesotho, and Head of Consular Services for the Netherlands, both bringing lived experiences from the ground. Let's dive in. Chiedza, let's start with you. Could you describe the effects of climate change and how they impact people across different gender identities and social roles?
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you for having me here. We have seen the effects of climate change every day in the geographies that we work in. As EEP Africa, we're working across 17 countries in East and Southern Africa. So in those geographies, we really are seeing different effects of climate change, ranging from droughts experienced just recently in Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Malawi. We have effects of climate change we're seeing in Madagascar. We're also seeing the same in Kenya, for instance, where they were experiencing floods just last year. And what we have seen is the impacts of climate change are deeply intertwined with existing social and economic inequalities. So in many of these geographies, women, particularly in rural areas, are bearing the brunt of these climate shocks. For example, when droughts or floods disrupt agricultural cycles, women often experience greater food insecurity because they are typically the ones that are responsible for household nutrition and subsistence farming. They also spend more time collecting water and firewood. Men, on the other hand, may experience climate change, but they do so differently, especially through the impacts of employment and migration. So, for example, in areas where men dominate commercial farming or fishing, reduced yields or catches due to changing weather patterns can threaten their livelihoods and lead to displacement in search of alternative incomes. So when we look at this topic, really, while the climate crisis affects everyone, it does so in ways that reinforce existing gender disparities unless targeted interventions are put in place to provide support.
Thank you, Chiedza. And thank you for highlighting that. It's such an important perspective. Sometimes it can be easy to overlook how deeply embedded these challenges are in daily life. And as you said, particularly for women in rural communities. Rethabile, let's go to you. Let's dig a little bit deeper with your experience on this. What are your thoughts?
Climate change affects both men and women in Lesotho. But women, especially in rural areas, face unique challenges during their roles in agriculture, household management, and caregiving. African Clean Energy is addressing these gender impacts by providing sustainable cooking solutions that empower women and enhance community resilience. Increased workload, women in primary responsible for collecting firewood, fetching water, and cooking. As climate change leads to resources scarcity, these tasks become more time-consuming, limiting women's opportunities for education and income generating, activities. To say the least, the health risk and traditional cooking methods expose women in indoor air pollution, leading in respiratory diseases and other health issues. The economic vulnerability faced by women in rural areas is dire. Women often have limited access to land for agriculture, farming, crop farming, and animal farming, credit, and technology, hindering their ability to adapt to climate change and the secure sustainability in livelihoods.
Chiedza, how is EEP Africa addressing this through your work in Southern and Eastern Africa?
Well, at EEP Africa, we take a dual approach to climate action, supporting both mitigation and adaptation, whilst we're being deeply intentional about inclusion and equity. Our funding mainly supports early-stage clean energy companies that are working on innovations which are market-driven to the challenges that are posed by climate change. These private sector actors that are developing technologies and business models work on reducing emissions and increasing resilience in vulnerable communities. What's really unique, Kelly, about our approach is that we embed gender and social inclusion directly into our investment criteria. We prioritize business models that empower women, not just as end users of energy, but also as entrepreneurs, as leaders, and employees within the energy value chain. So when you look at our portfolio, we support companies ranging from solar irrigation distribution companies in contexts such as Malawi that help women farmers adapt to erratic rainfall. We provide support to businesses offering off-grid refrigeration mobile units in Kenya that enhance climate adaptation by minimizing post-harvest losses, extending the shelf life of perishable produce, as well as improving food security and farmer incomes. We also have initiatives such as solar-powered hydroponics and aquaponics production systems that are being deployed in urban areas for women to diversify their incomes. And these companies that we're supporting are delivering real impact on both the environmental side as well as the social fronts. So through our work, we enable private enterprises to scale these kinds of solutions. And by doing so, we are contributing to a just transition, one where both climate goals and gender equality are addressed simultaneously and creating a more inclusive and resilient energy system.
Thank you, Chiedza. That sounds like a very important mission, and we'll share more towards the end of this conversation on how our listeners can support. Rethabile, as a woman in leadership in the energy sector, could you share more about the different dynamics that you are seeing?
Thank you. That's a very important question. As a woman in leadership in Lesotho's energy sector, there are definitely so many powerful advantages that come with this role. First and foremost, being in this position allows me to serve as a role model, not just for young women looking for STEM fields, but also for communities who benefit from seeing a woman lead energy access project. There is also growing international support for gender-inclusive programs, which means more opportunities to lead innovation projects and partnership that prioritize both sustainability and equity. Women in energy leadership often bring a unique perspective, especially when it comes to engaging communities and designing solutions that truly meet the needs of everyday users. Most of the women whom in rural areas, for example, are one's cooking, gathering fuel, and managing households. So energy solutions developed with our insight tend to be more practical and effective. With that said, there are still challenges. Gender biases remain a real issue. Having to constantly prove your competence in the STEM environment can be exhausting as a woman. There's also a struggle of limited mentorship and professional networks, especially since few women have historically held senior roles in this space. To add to that, pressures of balancing work with traditional expectations at home, it can become a clear that leadership is just not a strategy, it's also about resilience. But the good news is these challenges are not insurmountable. We are slowly shifting the landscape by monitoring the next generation, advocating for inclusive policies, and leading impact. The goal is not to just be one of the few women in the room, but to make more of us in that room, shaping the future of energy in Lesotho and beyond.
That is such a powerful way to put it. It's a good reminder that empowerment isn't about competition, it's about collaboration. Thank you very much. And could you share more about African Clean Energy's credit-based model for financing clean energy?
Yes, I'm happy to. Through our carbon finance, we are able to subsidize the cost of clean energy for our customers, both on the cook stove itself and cleaner fuels, making it more accessible and affordable for low-income households. It's a vicious cycle. More customers mean more carbon credits, climate action, which in turn unlocks more climate financing to reach even more families.
Wonderful. And your company also has done incredible work on disability inclusion. Can you share more about that as well?
Of course. Yes, we are intentional about creating a space for people with disabilities, both visible and invisible. Currently, our team includes a forklift operator with cerebral palsy, a deaf production supervisor, and a colleague who lost mobility in a car accident. They are not hired out of charity. They are here because they have skills, capable, and bring value. Their presence uplifts the entire team. It challenges us to communicate better, to collaborate differently, to rethink what it means to be able. Inclusion isn't just a policy. It is a mindset shift.
I absolutely agree. And inclusion isn't just a buzzword. It's really a commitment to creating spaces where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued. Excellent work. Chiedza, in your view, what bold steps must we take to truly champion inclusivity and equality, not just in words, but also in action?
Well, I'd say it starts with intention. We can't achieve inclusivity by default. We have to design it. That means crafting policies that empower in practice and not just in principle. Rethabile has mentioned that as a company, they are very intentional. They also even set targets within the business on being inclusive. So that intentionality really has to be coming out. We often also encourage our companies and the businesses that we support to listen to the voices that are often left out. Women, people with disabilities, youth, and other marginalized groups, to ensure that systems reflect their realities and that the solutions that are being delivered are also appropriate in speaking to the needs of these groups. Above all, we need to be accountable. So as we're designing our programs and as we're implementing different initiatives, we need to be asking ourselves, Are we creating spaces where people can lead as their full selves? Are we making inclusion part of every decision, not just a side project? True inclusivity means no one is left behind, and that requires courage and not comfort. And this is at all levels, whether at the workplace, whether in the field implementing projects. This really has to be set out clearly.
Those are excellent questions to ponder. And Rethabile, do you have a call to action for our listeners?
Yes, I do. If you are listening today and you believe in just sustainable future, this is your moment to act. We need more women leading the change in clean cooking solutions, not just in Lesotho, but across the continent. So whether you are in a position to invest, mentor, advocate, or simply amplify women's voices in this space, do it. Support organizations that are building inclusive energy cooking solutions. Challenge the systems that make it harder for women to lead. And you are a young woman listening and dreaming of working in this field, step forward. Your voice, your ideas, your leadership are not only welcome, they are essential. Because solving a climate change and energy poverty isn't just about technology, it's about people. And when women lead, communities thrive.
There you have it. Let's build that future together. Thank you both, Chiedza and Rethabile, for your powerful insights and honest reflections. Today's conversation was a reminder that true inclusion and leadership require intention, courage, and collaboration. To our listeners, if you are inspired to take action, follow EEP Africa on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Blue Sky, or visit eepafrica.org to learn more about our mission. Until next time, keep leading with purpose and keep driving impact forward. This is Nordic Climate Talks, a podcast by Nordic Development Fund.